Hey everyone, it's great to be here with you today. Boundaries are essential for our well-being, relationships, and overall happiness. In this video, we'll explore the 5 essential steps to mastering personal boundaries and provide practical exercises to help you implement them in your daily life. When I first started talking about boundaries, people looked at me like I was speaking a foreign language. They'd say, "Boundaries? Aren't those like walls we put up?" But here's the thing. Boundaries aren't about shutting people out. They're about letting the right people in. Think of them as the lines we draw to protect our physical, emotional, and mental well-being. They're how we communicate our needs, our limits, and what we will and will not accept from others. Imagine for a moment that you have a beautiful garden. In this garden, you've planted your favorite flowers, herbs, and maybe even some vegetables. Now imagine that there's no fence around your garden. Anyone can walk in, trample your plants, and take whatever they want. Personal boundaries are that fence. They protect what's precious to us, our time, energy, values, and sense of self. Now, some of you might be thinking, okay, boundaries sound great, but are they really that important? And my answer is a resounding yes. When we don't have boundaries, we leave ourselves open to burnout, resentment, and a whole lot of unnecessary stress. Think about it. How many times have you said yes to something you really didn't want to do? How many times have you let someone else's opinions or expectations dictate your choices? Boundaries help us reclaim our time, energy, and emotional well-being. Remember, setting boundaries is not selfish. It's an act of self-care. This is the big question, isn't it? If boundaries are so essential, why is it that so many of us struggle to set them? For some of us, it's how we were raised. Maybe we grew up in households where boundaries weren't modeled or respected, so we never learned the importance of setting them ourselves. Or maybe we were taught to be nice and put others' needs before our own, even if it meant sacrificing our own well-being. Then there are the societal expectations that can make setting boundaries feel, well, kinda taboo. We live in a culture that often glorifies busyness and overworking, making it seem like saying no is a sign of weakness. And for women especially, there's this pressure to be agreeable and accommodating, which can make it tough to assert our needs and set limits. Okay, so we've talked about what boundaries are and why they're important. Now let's get practical. How do we actually go about setting them? Well, the good news is that setting boundaries is a skill, and like any skill, it can be learned and practiced. The first step is to get really clear on what your boundaries are. What are your non-negotiables? What are the things that drain your energy, trigger your stress response, or make you feel uncomfortable? Once you have a good understanding of your limits, you can start communicating them to others. And remember, setting boundaries is an ongoing process, not a one-time event. All right, let's break down the first step in setting personal boundaries, identifying your limits. This is all about getting to know yourself, your needs, and what you're willing to tolerate. Start by asking yourself some questions. What drains my energy? What situations make me feel uncomfortable or resentful? What are my non-negotiables when it comes to my time, energy, and emotional well-being? Once you have a better understanding of your limits, you can start to pay attention to the situations or people that trigger those limits. Maybe it's a certain coworker who always dumps last-minute projects on you, or maybe it's a family member who constantly criticizes your choices. Whatever it is, start noticing the patterns and how they make you feel. The goal here is simply to acknowledge and understand your own needs, so you can start setting boundaries that protect your well-being. Emotions are powerful messengers, and they play a crucial role in setting effective boundaries. When we're in tune with our emotions, we can better understand our limits and communicate them to others. Think about it. How do you feel when someone disrespects your boundaries? Do you feel angry, resentful, or taken advantage of? These emotions are telling you that something isn't right, that a boundary has been crossed. The key here is to learn to listen to your emotions without judgment. Step 3. Communicate clearly. Okay, so you've identified your limits, you're paying attention to your emotions, and now it's time to communicate your boundaries to the world. The key to effective boundary setting is clear, direct, and assertive communication. That means saying what you mean, meaning what you say, and not being afraid to ask for what you need. Remember, you're not asking for permission. You're stating your needs and limits. Now, I know that being assertive can be tough, especially if you're used to people-pleasing or avoiding conflict. But here's the thing. When you communicate your boundaries clearly and confidently, you're showing others how you expect to be treated. Don't be afraid to use I statements when setting boundaries. For example, instead of saying "you always interrupt me," try saying "I feel disrespected when I'm interrupted. Please let me finish my thought." Step 4. Learn to say no. Oh, the power of no. It's a small word, but it can be incredibly difficult to say, am I right? We're often afraid of hurting people's feelings, disappointing others, or missing out on opportunities. But here's the thing. Saying no to the things that don't serve us frees us up to say yes to the things that do. When we learn to say no with grace and confidence, we reclaim our time, energy, and emotional well-being. Remember, saying no is not selfish. It's an act of self-respect. Step 5. Seek support. Setting boundaries can be challenging, especially if you're not used to it. It's okay to ask for help. In fact, having a supportive network can make all the difference in the world. Talk to a trusted friend, family member, therapist, or coach. Share your struggles, your successes, and your fears around setting boundaries. Sometimes, just having someone to listen and offer encouragement can make all the difference. Okay, let's talk about some practical exercises to help you master personal boundaries. The first one is journaling. Journaling is a powerful tool for self-discovery and can be incredibly helpful in identifying your boundary needs. Start by writing about a time when you felt disrespected, taken advantage of, or resentful. What happened? How did you feel? What boundaries were crossed? Next, write about a time when you felt empowered, respected, and in control of your own life. What was different about that situation? What boundaries were in place? Role-playing might sound a little awkward at first, but trust me, it's a powerful way to practice setting boundaries in a safe and supportive environment. Grab a trusted friend, family member, or therapist and ask them to role-play different scenarios with you. For example, you could practice saying no to a request, setting a boundary with a coworker, or communicating your needs in a relationship. The key here is to practice being assertive, clear, and direct in your communication. Meditation is a powerful practice for cultivating self-awareness and emotional regulation, both of which are essential for setting healthy boundaries. Find a comfortable seated position and close your eyes. Bring your attention to your breath, noticing the rise and fall of your chest as you inhale and exhale. As you focus on your breath, thoughts will inevitably arise. Acknowledge them without judgment and gently guide your attention back to your breath. Regular meditation practice can help you become more aware of your thoughts, feelings, and bodily sensations, allowing you to better understand your limits and communicate them to others. Setting boundaries doesn't have to be this big, scary thing. Start small. Remember, it's a process, and every step you take toward honoring your needs is a step in the right direction. Think about one small boundary you can set today. Maybe it's saying no to one extra commitment, setting aside 15 minutes for yourself each morning, or communicating a need to your partner. As you experience the positive effects of setting boundaries, you'll be more likely to continue setting bigger and bolder boundaries in the future. Our past experiences, both positive and negative, can teach us a lot about our boundaries. Take some time to reflect on past situations where your boundaries were crossed. What happened? How did you feel? What did you learn from the experience? Now think about a time when you successfully set a boundary. What did you do differently? How did it feel? Reflecting on our past experiences can help us identify patterns in our relationships and behaviors, allowing us to make more conscious choices about the boundaries we set in the future. Thanks for taking your time to watch this video. Your support means a lot to us. Stay tuned for more mental health videos from us and make sure to like, share, and follow us. Remember, establishing personal boundaries helps reduce stress and anxiety by creating a sense of control and autonomy in one's life. Setting boundaries is also linked to higher self-esteem and self-respect, as it involves recognizing and valuing one's needs and limits. Be kind to yourself, celebrate your progress, and don't be afraid to ask for support along the way.